Let's start by presuming that making the Stanley Cup playoffs the year after you missed the playoffs isn't easy. Just that as the default. Good morning to you. Good Tuesday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports, and this is Daily Shot of Penguins. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into football and or baseball, I also offer daily shots of the other two teams in town that I cover, the Steelers and the Pirates. Had the occasion to spend the first real significant time I've spent studying the Penguins' schedule, at least the first 2-3 months of it. Now, why did I do that? Well, travel purposes, clerical stuff. We have to get around to cover all of these games far and wide, and I just wanted to get about some planning. Now, upon doing this, I was at least a little bit startled by the differences between the October schedule that the Penguins have and the November schedule that they'll have. I see October as a setting, maybe a golden setting, for this team to take off a little bit, to develop some confidence, pile up some points, because then once November comes around, they're not going to be easy. Let me run through some of this with you. They open up with 9 games in September. 6 of them are at PPG Paints Arena. Theoretically, a good thing. You have Erik Karlsson being introduced to the crowd every other night. It's going to become, as different people make their way through the building, it's going to continue to be a really big deal the first time somebody's there, but eventually it's going to become something that you just accept. You know, that guy is now playing for the Penguins. And within that, you would optimally see this team figure some things out offensively, figure out the power play, and do all of that at home in front of the fans, have Karlsson be selected one of the 3 stars and come out for a twirl, and just all kinds of positive vibes. That's what you need to build up after missing the playoffs. And I'm not going to sit here and knock the caliber of the opponents that they're facing, because they were the ones who missed the playoffs. But they open up at home against Connor Bedard. That's going to be his NHL debut, actually, in Pittsburgh. And the Blackhawks. But the Blackhawks are still not going to be a good team. Yeah, I know. Just let it go. Just once, I'm not going to use the Rockford Ice Hogs joke. After that, it's Washington, Calgary, Detroit, and St. Louis, which is in something of a different phase. Who out of those teams would you say, oh no, can't beat them? After that, 4 consecutive home games. Dallas, Colorado, Ottawa, Anaheim. Challenges, all of them across the board. Yes, including the Senators, who are getting better. But not any of them could constitute some seismic upset if the Penguins win. Now, that's it for October. You work your way into November, and you're starting off immediately with the West Coast trip, California trip. San Jose, Anaheim, LA. I covered that one last season, the whole thing, and I can tell you that there's one of those you're going to win. There's one of those that you'll be competitive in, and there's one of them where you're just going to get your face smeared into the ice. That was, of course, what happened in Los Angeles. Come home, it's Buffalo, then Columbus, whatever. Then comes, you ready? This is the end of November. New Jersey, Carolina, Vegas, the Rangers. You staying with me here? Sabres again, Maple Leafs, Predators, Lightning. Okay, that, kids, is the gauntlet. And that's why you can't afford, if you're the Penguins, to go through that first month just, getting by or not necessarily getting the results you want, but we're playing okay. It's going to have to be both. They're going to have a training camp, I think, that emphasizes how quickly they have to get off to the start that they want. Now, the plus within that should be obvious. This isn't a conventional camp. They know, and I do mean they know, who's going to be on the roster, and they can adjust everything in camp and in the preseason games accordingly. And they can also match up lines and pairings and all that other stuff to make for the smoothest possible segue. But on the downside, there's a lot of players on this roster, and I'm talking about at the very, very top, who aren't used to feeling any kind of urgency in October. And I don't ever speak a negative syllable about Sidney Crosby, but it's going to be new for him too. And it's going to be new for Evgeny Malkin. It's going to be new for Chris Letang. And I get that everyone's giddy over the Karlsson trade and a lot of the other moves that Kyle Dubas has made. It's exciting. In some ways, it's fascinating, I think, how all of this will work together. But it's a challenge. Do not lose sight of that. When we come back, J1Q. Today's J1Q comes from TJ, who says, has there been any update on the Penguins TV situation, meaning AT&T Sportsnet's imminent demise? I've been thinking about cutting cable, but I don't want to miss any Penguins games. It just so happens, TJ, that last night at PNC Park, I was covering the Pirates' 11-1 victory over the Cardinals. And up in the press box, I ran into somebody who would be very much in the know with this sort of thing. And the information that I have, and it isn't much, because this individual didn't have much or wasn't sharing much, is really, really simple, even if it's something that I'm going to guess you're not going to find satisfactory. And that is this. The Penguins games are going to be on television. Somehow, somewhere. It might be NESN, the Boston-based network that's owned by Fenway Sports Group. Now, how that translates into a Pittsburgh thing, I've got no clue. But the Pirates games, and of course they're also shown on AT&T Sportsnet for those who don't know, have continued uninterrupted, including the one last night. And there's no indication that they're going to stop. In fact, there's only a month and a half left of their season, so it'd be kind of weird to stop. The approach that the Pirates have taken, and I'm more informed from their perspective than I am from the Penguins because I've been around the Pirates every day now for a while, meaning obviously while they're playing in the summertime, is that they would just stay on the network until the checks stopped coming. And while that sounds kind of scattershot, that's been the same thing that's happened with other Major League Baseball teams that have been in similar situations. The first of those was the San Diego Padres. And once the checks stopped coming to Petco Park, that was when MLB stepped in and said, okay, we're going to take over. We're going to air your games. We're going to pay X percentage of what you were getting from that cable outlet, and we're just going to move on like this, and then we'll worry about next season when next season comes along. The Penguins situation is different because they have an owner that already owns a cable company, because they obviously don't participate in Major League Baseball, and because the National Hockey League hasn't said a blessed thing about this, because they're the National Hockey League. So to some extent, it's the Penguins' problem, meaning they're the ones that are going to have to fix it, especially if the NHL chooses not to do what MLB did and doesn't bother getting involved. Or you could see the Penguins take some other approach, some unique approach, or they can do what the Pirates just did, which is wait, keep collecting the checks, because it's good money to have, and it's more money than they're going to get with any alternative plan, and it's you just have to set it up so that you can make the move quickly. But I'm going to say it one more time, because I did promise you in advance that this answer wouldn't satisfy you, because it can't. There's going to be hockey on cable TV in some form, and I mean the Penguins. Their games are going to be available. It's just a matter of where and also when. I appreciate the question. I appreciate everyone listening to Daily Shot of Penguins. We'll do another one of these tomorrow.